with what's happening out on those picket lines, the nursing strike. It is in its fifth day. Jessica Formoso, let me move this chair out of the way for you so you can make your way in. Jessica, you've been tracking what's been going on with this nursing strike. I know you were out there on the picket lines on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today you're here.
We're inside.
You're inside.
But they're out there.
They are out there. So what's the latest? What's going on here?
Okay, so we know this is the largest nurses strike in the city history. So last time it was 3 years ago, 3 days, and they were back at work.
So we've had a strike before.
Yes.
That strike only lasted 3 days. Similar issues that they've been debating, but it only lasted those 3 days.
Those 3 days, and they went back to work. Now,
and now
we're day
here we
5.
are on day 5. Okay.
And now the big news today is that they couldn't negotiate on their own, meaning the nurses union with hospital management, so they had to get a federal mediator involved.
Okay.
We know yesterday they were back at the table because for days, I believe for 2 days, no negotiations, they were stalled. Like they were not meeting.
So these two sides had been discussing what they were going to do, and now we've had to call in a federal mediator.
Right.
And so that's a big headline from today. Okay.
Because clearly that just means that they couldn't get anywhere, right? They were trying, they were stalled, and now the federal mediator is there to pretty much bring the two parties together and try to get something on the table.
Okay.
We know that negotiations started last night, but here's the deal. So Mount Sinai, it's 3 hospital systems, and we say hospital systems because they own multiple hospitals. So we have Montefiore, we have Mount Sinai, and New York Presbyterian.
Right.
So now the nurses union last night had a conversation with New York Press, also with Mount Sinai, but just one of Mount Sinai's hospitals. Now they're saying that Morningside and the West Campus, they're not coming to the bargaining table. And they have a different, which is a little complicated, a different contract for the nurses. So it's not the same contract. So the nurses union is saying, you need to come to the table and start negotiating, which they have not just yet.
And we've seen really some of the other headlines this week. These 2 nurses who said they were fired for retaliation.
Yes.
They accused the hospital system there of trying to union bust essentially, but they were accused of sort of sabotaging these traveling nurses who were coming in, but they strongly denied that. I mean, that was sort of some of the contentious headlines that we saw.
Yeah, there is, and I'm going to say there is tension between hospital management, right, and the nurses. We learned about the union busting that the nurses union is alleging. The hospital says that they have footage of these nurses doing what they're not supposed to do. Okay. The union saying that is not true.
We haven't seen that footage.
No, we have not seen it. The hospital has not released it to us, but they said that they have footage. The nurses union is saying that, listen, doesn't matter. They have to go through specific protocols before somebody gets let go.
Right.
And they're saying the hospital didn't do that. So some back and forth, pointing the finger. The good news is that with this federal mediator, we're hoping to get some news. We did get a statement from.
Who are we hearing from today?
We're going to hear from the nurses, the union president and a nurse. But before that, there is a statement that New York Presbyterian sent out to us yesterday. Okay. This was late last night. So they were negotiating. We got this message right before midnight. Okay. So around like 11:45.
It's part of our reporting this morning, but not
yes.
last night.
So last night they sent us this around 11:45, 11:50, saying the union's proposals remain unreasonable while we continue to be far apart. We are committed to bargaining in good faith. Future meetings will be scheduled through the mediator. We are committed to safe staffing and have the best staffing ratios in the city. All the affected hospitals and emergency departments remain open and are running smoothly. So they are going to be back at the negotiating table today. I did get an update from the nurses union. They're telling us they're not going to have a presser today, but they will be in touch with us very soon for updates. But listen to what they had to say yesterday on the picket line.
We are here again to send a message to Mount Sinai and Morningside and West to say shame on you. Shame, shame. I will start by saying the other employers are calling our bargaining units to sit down to the table and bargain. And I want to know, Morningside and West employers, what is your problem? What is your problem? You need to come to the table, negotiate a contract. Negotiate a contract that includes safe staffing, workers' violence protection, medical benefits, because Mark Kramers Jeff Cohen and Stacey, they have decided that they want to take away our medical. And I want everyone to know, nurses care for New Yorkers. If nurses are not healthy, who will take care of New Yorkers?
Nurses at Mount Sinai Hospital, Mount Sinai Morningside and West, Montefiore, and New York Presbyterian are on strike because management is threatening to cut health care for frontline nurses, refusing to agree to workplace violence protections despite 2 recent incidents of violence at New York City hospitals. And management is trying to undo safe staffing standards that nurses won for New Yorkers when they went on strike 3 years ago.
We are ready to negotiate with all 3, like we said, those are the 3 richest hospitals in New York City. If the safety net hospital could come to the table and negotiate safe patient ratios, and negotiate workers' protection against violence, and negotiate to provide our medical coverage without any cut, and negotiate pension, and negotiate protection from AI. Because when you come to work, you don't want an artificial nurse, you want a real nurse. So we are asking the 3 richest hospitals to come to the table and negotiate the same contract.
All right, so you're saying before the strike there were these safety net hospitals that came to an agreement already, but that's not the rest of them.
Right, exactly. So before the strike happened on Monday, there was the list was longer when it came to the hospitals involved. The safety net hospitals did reach an agreement, and that's when you hear the president there, the union president, saying that we were able to get an agreement with the safety net hospitals. Why can't we get an agreement with the private hospitals?
And Jessica, I know you've been there. You've been out there on the streets this week. I mean, are these smaller demonstrations? It seems like there's kind of depends on what time you're out there. But what is your impression from when you're out there on the actual picket line?
So I would say I was at Mount Sinai in East Harlem. The first day was a big crowd. I mean, they walked out at 6 o'clock, and we got the nurses walking out off their shift onto the picket line. Walking out onto the picket line, and you saw the crowd was just growing by the hour, and it was a huge crowd outside Mount Sinai. Of course, there were other nurses at the other hospitals as well. By the end of the week, not as big of a crowd, but they're still out there. They're still keeping momentum. These nurses, as you know, they want better pay, but they say it's not just about the money. It's about work safety. They want in place. They want better staffing ratios. Right now, when I was talking with one of the nurses, she tells me that it's usually 1 to 4, so 1 nurse to 4 patients. But the problem that they said they're having is that when a nurse goes on break, then the other nurse has to pick up their patients. So instead of being 1 to 4, it's like 1 to 8.
Oh yeah.
So that's when
that doesn't sound good.
Right. So that's what they're saying. And the thing is, they want to keep.
What are the hospitals saying?
So the hospital is telling us like this is just unrealistic. New York Press was telling us, New York Presbyterian was saying how if the wage increase would amount to something over like $2 billion in 3 to 4 years, and they're saying like that we cannot do that. It's just unrealistic. It doesn't make any sense.
And so it seems like there's still a ways off. We're hearing a federal monitor maybe called in, the negotiations themselves between the 2 sides. So it looks like no matter what, we are going to get this third party, whether it starts today or this weekend or however. So it's very possible we'll see you out there on the picket line next Monday.
We're talking about 15,000 nurses that walked off the job. And I have to tell you, they're standing firm. I've been out there and I've been speaking with them. It doesn't seem like they're going to budge.
Okay.
So
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. We'll obviously continue to monitor the situation throughout the weekend and hopefully get that update that they promised.
Sounds like a plan. All right.